Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolfe Pit. Today, I'm making a smoked Mississippi pot roast. I've watched a lot of videos of people making Mississippi pot roast, but I had never tried it. That wasn't until my daughter Lisa made it in a crock pot and shared some with me, and I thought it was absolutely delicious. Then I started thinking this is similar to my soon-to-be world-famous pepper stout beef. And I said to myself, this Mississippi pot roast would be even better if it was smoked. So that's what I did, and today I'm going to show you how I did it. Besides this being very delicious, it's a super simple recipe that anyone can make, and it only uses 4 ingredients, including the beef. I'm going to be smoking this on my new Grilla ceramic Kamado grill. Is that a beautiful grill or what? All of the metal hardware you see is stainless steel, except the calibrated daisy wheel top vent, which is aluminum. So this grill is built to last a lifetime. It also comes with 2 foldable and removable bamboo side tables that have Kong himself etched into them. Along with the side bamboo tables, you get a Stay Cool bamboo handle. And it also has a mounted lid thermometer. The Kong is 24 inches in diameter and comes with an upper and lower cooking grate, which gives you a total cooking surface of 643 square inches. Both grates fold up for easy access in the event you need to add more lumped charcoal or wood chunks. Now everything you see me go over on this grill comes standard. The side tables, the nest, and the additional cooking grate are all standard. You don't have to buy piece by piece. And the best thing about it is the price. With Jungle Direct pricing right from Grilla Grills, the Grilla Kong with shipping included is only $799. I don't think you can find a comparable grill to the Kong with all the features and free shipping for that price. Bella the Wonder Dog says, "Enough with the talk, Daddy. Let's cook. I'm hungry." So let's get the Kong loaded up with some rockwood lump charcoal. Then add both cooking grates back. Open up both access doors. And using my hose torch, I'm going to light a small spot in the middle. And this is the initial burn I'm doing right now, and I'm just going to add 1 small piece of cherry wood to help get the Kong seasoned. I'll add more wood when we add the meat. Now for the initial burn in, I'm going to leave the top vent and the bottom vent open 100% until it gets to about 50 degrees for my target temp, which for my initial burn, I'm shooting for 350 degrees. Once the Kong got up to 300 degrees, I closed the top vent to 1 and the bottom vent about 80%. After about 25 minutes, the Kong settled in around 350 degrees. After that, I just let the Kong burn for 1 hour at 350 degrees. After that, we can cook. While the Kong was doing this thing, I seasoned up a 4-pound chuck roast with salt and pepper. And you want to very liberally season both sides. After the Kong burned at 350 degrees for 1 hour, it's seasoned and ready to go. Now I've decreased the temperature to between 250 and 275 degrees. And as you can see, there's still a whole lot of charcoal left. So all I needed to do was add some more cherry wood. I had just gotten the Kong and I didn't have my deflector plate yet, so the chuck roast went into an aluminum pan on the top grate. It's supposed to be cooking indirect, but this worked fine for this cook. Then I closed the lid and let the chuck roast smoke for a couple hours. All I'm trying to do is add some smoke flavor and wasn't really worried about bark because it would be ruined anyway during the braising process. After 2.5 hours, our chuck roast was looking and smelling good. And at this point, I felt I had gotten enough smoke flavor on it, so it was time to add the rest of the ingredients and get ready for the braise. When I first saw this recipe going around a while back, I was very skeptical about the seasonings, like a packet of ranch dressing. I just never would have expected it to be good with beef. So all you need to do is sprinkle that over the roast, along with something else I've never used before, a packet of au jus gravy mix. These mixes are usually over salty, and frankly, gravy is too easy to make from scratch to use a packet. But I was following the recipe exactly, for you, the people. Next, the recipe calls for pepperoncinis and their juice. You can add as much or as little as you like. I'll show you the exact measurements I used at thewolfepit.com. I used whole pepperoncinis, but you can use sliced ones too. And if you don't like pepperoncinis or you want a little spicier, I guess you could use pickled jalapenos too, or even a combination of pepperoncinis and pickled jalapenos. Finally, for the last ingredient, which I thought was insane, a whole stick of butter. It was at this point in the recipe when I was reading through it, I thought whoever came up with this recipe had to be related to Paula Deen. But in reality, butter makes everything better, doesn't it? At this point, you're supposed to foil it, but I thought a little bit more smoke time while the butter melted probably wouldn't hurt. So I let it smoke for about 10 more minutes uncovered. Then I foiled it and let it continue to cook around 300 degrees until it was fork tender. After 2.5 hours, it was time to check our Mississippi pot roast for tenderness. When I check a chuck roast for tenderness, there's only one true way to know it's truly tender, and that's by sticking a fork in the middle and twisting it like spaghetti. If it twists around the fork, it's done. And as you can see, it's done. But just for quality assurance sake, we had to try it one more time for tenderness and taste. And it passed the Q&A test with flying colors. Now all you need to do is take 2 forks and pull it apart, discarding any unwanted large pieces of fat. Once it's all pulled apart, mix it in with all those wonderful juices. Now, is that a pan full of beautiful succulentness or what? Now you can make sandwiches with this, or serve it as a meal like I did. We served it with some rice and more butter, of course, and some sauteed garlic green beans. And what better garnish could I have used besides a fresh pepperoncini? In the beginning, I was really worried about a lot of things with this recipe. It just didn't seem like something I would normally like to make. But that's why I like coming out from underneath my rock and trying new things for me and for you, the people. And I'm really happy I tried it because this recipe is a keeper. The meat and the gravy were absolutely phenomenal. Some of the richest, most flavor-packed meat and gravy I've ever had. It had a very nice subtle spiciness and tanginess from the pepperoncinis and the vinegar that really worked well with the richness from the meat and the butter. The smokiness was also nice, which added another layer of deliciousness. If for some reason you're like me and you were skeptical about this recipe, stop being skeptical and give it a try as soon as possible. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you give this a try. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.